Rev up your engines. Well, today we got an oldie but a goodie. It's an Impala SS. It's a 1996, one of the last good ones that they ever made, because not only does it have a V8 engine, it's rear-wheel drive. 2000 Impala went front-wheel drive. They don't make them anymore. You know, anybody who's had front-wheel drive Impalas, they were rolling piles of crap. The tranny stunk. Most of them got rid of the V8s. You either got a V6 or a 4. Now they made a few SSs that still had V8 special production ones, but the majority of them were rolling piles of junk. They were front-wheel drive. To this day, truthfully, Americans don't know how to make front-wheel drive vehicles. That's not a thing Americans did. Giant V8 engine, still runs like a top, even though it's old as the hills. It's almost 30 years old. This thing is old, right? And it still runs fine. Now, interestingly enough, the guy brought it over here for one thing. Now, I'm gonna check the car out too, but he was wondering, why is there a bigger gap between the body and the tire on the driver's side rear than there is here? You can see it's a much smaller gap. Where the left front, you can see the tire sticks out a little bit, but when we go to the right front, the tire sticks in a little bit. Well, he bought it when it was very young. It only had 3,000 miles on it. The guy had it in storage. So I asked him, have you ever wrecked it? He said, no. I said, well, did your wife or girlfriend maybe wreck it and you didn't know about it? He said, no, I'd never wrecked it. So, he had 3,000 miles, the guy said he had stored, but it's kind of obvious that at some point in time, the car was hit, probably when it was sitting. This side of the body was pushed in. When we go to the other side, they pushed this side of the body out, so there's a bigger gap in the back. So when it got hit here, that got pushed over, but of course, it's kind of like a rectangle. When it got pushed over, the body got, so this part of the body now sticks out a little bit, and this part sticks in a little bit. It now has 156,000 miles on it, and it works perfectly fine. He did notice that they said the data when they were checking alignments out and stuff is really at an extreme, and that's because the body's been moved somewhat. But hey, it doesn't pull, doesn't shake, shimmy, so it doesn't really matter, you know. But that's what happened. He said nobody could figure out. There's no difference. Well, a blind man can practically see that it's been moved back and forth, and obviously it must have been stopped, because when they're stopped, you get the most body damage because your car's just sitting there. It hit there, pushed that back to one side, and then the front, since it was stopped on the ground, got jiggled to the opposite side. Now we'll give it an analysis of the car itself. Look at the space. It is a 5.7 liter V8, but it's not cramped in. There's all kinds of working room if you need to work on it. But if you see, since it's a Rhode Island car, that's all superficial rust, especially the aluminum gets corroded. Most of the stuff on it, except from the AC compressor, is pretty much original equipment. And if you wonder what this is, that's a smog pump. They used to pump extra air into the exhaust so they polluted less. That's what all these pipes are for. Now, we are going to attempt to scan it with my big scan tool. The only problem with this is 96 was a switchover year. Sometimes the only thing that works is a dealer-only special scan tool that only works on the 96 models. Even the dealers probably don't even have them anymore. I never had one. We're going to try my big fancy one. But before we do that, let's see what you get back in the day. As we look inside, it does have bucket seats. It's not a split bench. I grew up on a 60s Bel Air, and it had split benches. It's like riding on a coach down the road. And the back seats, they're still in good shape. Leather's still in good shape. Hey, 30 years old. Now on the highway, it still gets 23 miles a gallon. In town, you're into the teens. It's a big, heavy vehicle, right? So, you know, it's got a 4-speed automatic. At the highway speeds, it's relatively efficient for a vehicle in its day. And understand one thing, this is the Impala SS. That's the fancy racing one. Well, it'll show you the difference between yesterday and today. This engine's got 260 horsepower, which was a lot back in 1996. Well, as times have changed, you get a 4-cylinder engine that puts out 360 horsepower these days. But you got to take in consideration, this is a normally aspirated, no GDI, no turbocharger. These things can run forever. Change the oil every 3,000-4,000 miles. These engines can last a long time. And the 4-speed automatic transmissions, they're pretty reliable too. So this is proof in the pudding. It's almost 30 years old. Most of it's still original, engine, transmission, rear end. And even though it had been hit and bent over, it obviously did the body and not the drivetrain. Because if it would have damaged the drivetrain, the rear end would have gone out, the drive shaft U-joints would keep breaking. You'd have all kinds of problems. He didn't have any of those problems. And as we look under here, it's still pretty solid. Not all rotting away. Now, the owner just told me after I asked him, do you drive this in the winter with the salt in the road? He says, no. It lives outside. It's not in the heated garage or anything, but he doesn't drive it around in the winter, because I can guarantee you, if he drove it around in the winter here in Rhode Island with the salt on the road, there would be holes everywhere. The frame would be rotting away, and it isn't. But strangely enough, I see a lot of cars on the East Coast like that. A lot of guys have nice old cars, and they either leave them out or they store them in the garage in the winter, and they don't drive them unless, like me, they got hot water in their garage and a pressure washer. Then they can wash it with a pressure washer with hot water and get all the salt off. Or let's say you live in an area like that. Find one of those car washes. I used to do it in Niagara Falls. Find one of those car washes that'll say, hey, for $19.95, you get unlimited car washes, right? You can take it in every day like I used to. They rinse the undercarriage, they won't rust them. Now, you can't be lazy. And you might say, okay, what when it's really cold? I did it in Niagara Falls, it was freezing cold. They got the water heated up, the guys are wearing hoodies and gloves, but they're spraying the undercarriages and getting the rust off. Oh, but it's still got an OBD port and it beeped when I plugged it in. So we'll turn the key on, idiot lights on, we'll see what happens. It's beeping, so that's good. Analog diagnosis. To read it, so we'll do a manual selection. So let's go down to 1996, and it is a Chevy Impala, and it's the 5.7 LT1 V8 engine. Hey, it's reading stuff. There we go, 96 Chevy Impala, 5.7 V8. Okay, that's a topology scale, but it's the smallest one I've ever seen. Usually there's 20 or 30 things, only 3 here. So here we go. As you can see, it's 100% done. It has no trouble codes. Amazing. 29 years old, no trouble codes. Let's start her up. And we'll check the powertrain data. The engine and tranny, so let's look at the engine live data. Remember, black is good, red is bad. We'll just scan through it fast. So far, everything. Now there's knock sensor activity. It's saying the knock sensor isn't acting right, but it didn't trip any codes. On these old ones, it often does that, and it runs okay, so I just ignore that. These that actually has all this amount of information, even the AC pressure. Realize one thing about GM. Back in '96, they were one of the first manufacturers to give all kinds of data on their cars. Their idea was, if people can't fix our cars, people won't buy them. So they gave a lot of information out, more than other people did back in the day. Car, it is the V8 Impala SS. It's got 4 oxygen sensors on it. And you can see for an old car, not bad. The fuel trim, -3, -2, -2. Long term is 3. Not bad for a car this old. Transmission live data. Start looking, see if anything is funky. Everything is normal parameters. See, even back in the day, realize these are electronically controlled transmissions, even in 1996. GM was actually faster than many companies into doing these things. And it's a shame they screwed everything up in 2000s up, made them worse, because they used to make pretty good cars. So start her up, take her for a ride. No backup camera on this baby, that's for sure. It does have AC and it's working, even though he's put money into it. So here we go, looking backwards. Still shifts like a dream. You can barely feel it shift. And yes, these cars are more like boats than cars. Point in the direction, and you try to get as close as you can to that point until you find another reference point to drive. Now there's a Tesla, opposite worlds here. Now truthfully, I gotta say, I wouldn't think twice before driving this thing to California and back. It's a solid car. Now you'd only get 23 miles a gallon, but hey, you do it in style. Now, of course, you see, it's still got some horsepower left in it. It's 250, but it's set up pretty good. And even though the car was hitting, it's a little bit cockeyed. It goes straight, it handles fine, and I mean, if it was in a wreck, that was like 27 years ago. So there you have it, an almost 30-year-old Impala SS in the days when they still knew how to make them. And this isn't some old carbureted thing, it's fuel injected. Still runs like a top. He doesn't take it out in the salt in the winter, so it's not rusted or anything. But hey, it's a shame that GM can't make them like this anymore. They're not making the Impalas anymore. They're shutting them down. But this one, hey, who knows how long this thing is going to go down the road? I don't know. Looking at the owner, I think it's going to outlast him too. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Captain Gus says, I got a 96 Geo Tracker and I replaced the rear bearings and seals. How does the rear bearing get lubricated? Okay, well, those are self-lubricated bearings. They're bearings that are sealed on the inside and the outside, and the grease is already built in. And a lot of them have special bearings that soak up the grease and oil, and they're sealed. You can't grease them. They're just that way. And when they wear out, you got to replace them. Most modern vehicles are that way. When I was a young mechanic, you take the nut off, you take the bearings off, their inner bearings and outer bearings, you'd clean them off, and then you'd put new grease and put it together. It was called repacking the bearings. You can't do that on any modern car. They're sealed. So they just lubricate by what's in there. When they finally wear out, you just have to buy new ones. It's kind of planned obsolescence. You know, it's also cheaper to make them that way, so that's how they make cars these days. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.